Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of All Wrestling Madness podcast brought to you by your hosts, Barry Wolf and Shawn Hanlon. Shawn, welcome.
Thank you. How's everyone doing today?
Oh, I'm doing all right. Uh, just want to talk a little bit about just movies in general. The last one that we saw, rather you saw it before me, but I still saw it. Spider-Man: No Way Home.
Hmm.
What were your thoughts of seeing Spider-Man?
This is a good movie. Definitely enjoyed seeing the old cast come in and do their thing. Um,
The OG, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield.
yeah, the OG. I was
After no,
uh,
finish.
I was impressed to see Toby, but believe it or not, I was more impressed to see Doc Ock.
Doctor Octopus.
And on top of that, he doesn't. I thought he would like. I thought he was really old in the first one, so seeing him look exactly the same was like something.
Oh, I know. And what about Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin? Like you said, looking the same. He looked the same.
I mean, he aged a little bit,
Slightly, but not much. Not really all that
but
much.
I think Doc Ock looked a little bit better than he did back in the early 2000s.
Well, Alfred Molina does look a lot better, in my
Hmm.
opinion, now than he did back in 2006, 2007, around there when they made the second movie.
Hmm.
Um, but now, changing the topic a little bit of Spider Man, off of Spider Man, it's a movie you have yet to see. I saw, and it's a great movie in my opinion, and that's Scream 2022.
Ooh. Okay. It's a movie?
Yeah, it's a requel. It's what they call a requel. It's basically like a remake, but at the same time, it's a sequel. It's like what they did with Halloween this year and last
Hmm.
year was that it's a continuation of the first movie made in the 80s, where two and the rest never really had anything to do with the story plot. It's basically you would watch the Halloween 1980s movie and then jump ahead to this movie. That's what a requel is, basically.
Beautiful.
It's to basically erase all of the rest of the movies that never really made sense and just give it another sequel.
That's
So if you really want to call it something, it's like Scream 2 2022 because it's technically a sequel while also giving homage to the original sequel.
Now, what's up with these Scream TV show that they had going, like the series?
Don't even get me started on the crappy TV show.
I tried
It's
watching
just
it, and I was like, "Yo, someone's gonna die." First episode, someone's gotta die. This is just what Scream is. Someone's gotta
don't
die.
don't get me started on that. Do
Nobody
not get me
died.
started.
Nobody died. I think I watched 3 episodes. Nobody died.
Up until season 3, they used a different mask and a different story. It was not Ghostface. Don't even get me started on that crappy TV show. It makes me cry for Kevin Williamson, who is the creator of the story for Scream.
Like,
It's like a
bruh,
complete disgrace.
I'm here to see some hack and slash is what I'm here
Oh,
to see.
I know, I know, but at the same time, that's not what you see. I mean, Bella Thorne, I think, was in like what one or the first two episodes, if not the first three. I don't think she was in the full season one. I think she was hacked off.
Hmm.
No, she was only in the first episode, the pilot,
Oh
because
wow,
I think Bella Thorne was hacked off early on in the first episode.
bring some
Like
early attention.
she played the Drew Barrymore, I guess you would call it, the first kill of the movie or of the
Oh,
TV show.
she played the first kill.
Basically, she was in a hot tub, and then like that, she's dead.
Hmm. What
And
what movie was it from with Drew Barrymore that got killed like that?
the first ever Scream back in 1996, which, fun fact, Drew Barrymore was originally casted to play the role of Sidney Prescott that went eventually to Nev Campbell, but originally Drew Barrymore was supposed to be Sidney Prescott and survive the whole movie.
So you're saying Drew Barrymore was in like the '96 version of Scream?
Yeah, just the beginning though, just the
Oh,
opening.
you're right.
Yeah,
Wow, I
because
didn't know.
Wes Craven. Here's the little story on the '96 movie Scream, the 1996 movie Scream. The little backstory is basically, in a nutshell, They wanted to get Wes Craven, who is a brilliant, brilliant director in the horror genre ever
Hmm.
since Nightmare on Elm Street. They wanted Wes Craven. They didn't want anyone else. Yeah, you'll hear stories that they approached Sam Raimi, they approached Robert Rodriguez, but that was like their second and third attempt because their first attempt, they always wanted Wes Craven, but they couldn't get him because he kept turning them down. He kept saying no and turning down the offer. It wasn't until he heard the name Drew Barrymore and that she was going to play the lead that he was like, fine, I'll sign on and I'll do the movie for you.
Hmm.
But here's a little joking screw you to Wes Craven. Not that it was intentionally like a screw you, it was like just like a way of surprising the fans at the time.
Hmm.
Drew Barrymore ended up saying no to the full role and just said, why not just kill me off in the beginning? Because at that point, the audience will think anybody and anybody can die at any moment, which was actually smart on her behalf.
And it's cheaper for them.
Well, yeah, because then they don't have to keep her as long.
Just pay
They
her
only
for
have to
half the
keep,
part.
literally, just keep her for like a week or two to film the opening. That's it.
Hmm.
Once the opening's done, she can go and do her own thing on other movie projects.
Exactly.
So, but that's how Wes Craven was attached to it, was because of Drew Barrymore. If it was not for her being attached to the movie, I don't think Wes Craven would have ever have done it.
Hmm. I got another topic for you.
Go right ahead.
Similar. So I was watching this Undertaker documentary the other day, and he was saying he's having a hard time wrestling because of his age. I
Yes.
don't feel like he really needs to wrestle anymore in the sense that he could just show up.
Are you talking like the WWE 24 documentary?
I think so. I feel like he could just show up to the event and he has that presence that just makes the show even better. Like he doesn't have to do any wrestling. He could just literally get on stage and talk.
Well, yeah. Here's the thing Undertaker does not, like you said, does not need to wrestle anymore. In my opinion, Undertaker should have retired at WrestleMania 30, and he should not have lost. I'm that fan. I am that fan that says he should not have lost. He should have went out on top with the streak
They let
and
someone
kept it.
get over on him.
Brock Lesnar.
They let Brock Lesnar put one over on him.
And get this, every referee that's ever refereed a Undertaker WrestleMania match ever since, I'm going to say WrestleMania 12, they have all asked personally Vince McMahon if they would not be told the finish because they always wanted to be surprised. They always wanted the reaction to be genuine. So knowing that going into WrestleMania 30, the referee of that match, John Cone, went into it not knowing who was going to win. And it wasn't decided until like two or three matches before when they finally came up with the final victor and said, you know what, Brock's going to go over. And it was actually, from what I'm led to believe,
Hmm.
it was actually Undertaker's idea. He basically, because Vince wanted Undertaker to win, but he convinced Vince McMahon to put Brock Lesnar over because many a times the streak would have ended sooner. At one point, I think it was WrestleMania. What was it? WrestleMania 22, I think it was.
Hmm.
It was originally supposed to be Undertaker versus Kurt Angle. Yeah, that's what it was. Because remember WrestleMania 22, Kurt Angle versus Ray versus Randy Orton.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was not supposed to happen. The original plan going into that WrestleMania, like December of the previous year, it was supposed to be the story startup for Undertaker to face Kurt Angle at WrestleMania, where Kurt Angle would have won.
See, what I don't get is why bring back an undefeated retired champ just to take his belt. I think that's just wrong.
That's just what
Like,
Undertaker did. Undertaker had a lot of respect. He still has a lot of respect for Brock Lesnar.
so he really wanted to give it to Lesnar.
Yeah, he wanted to give, as you would call, the rub to Brock Lesnar. He wanted to give him the win because think about it. Undertaker was known for many, many, many years, over 20 years, as being undefeated. And look at what we're doing now. We're still talking about it. And this is like 8 years later, 9 years later. and we're still talking about it. That's the type of stuff Undertaker saw in the long run. Was if Brock Lesnar won, he'd be the man to be talked about for years and years and years to come. So he was actually smart in that way by putting his streak on the line and saying, yeah, Brock, you're going over. Because then the fans will always have something to remember, something shocking, something to talk about for years to come.
But did he give it to the right person though?
My opinion, no.
No, I don't think so either.
That's just my opinion. My opinion, he should have given it to one of three people: Shawn Michaels,
Hmm. Well, how
Triple H.
how old is Shawn Michaels though? Isn't he old for the
Well, at the
sport? For the sport?
well, right now, but at the time, during his second WrestleMania attempt at Taker's streak, WrestleMania 26, he was what, like maybe 43, 44, something like that. I might be getting the age wrong, but
Oh,
he was like in his mid 40s.
that's still pretty old though. That's like he could retire.
I know, and that was the whole point. Was Shawn loses to Undertaker and retires and walks away.
But then Shawn's 40 though.
Well,
You
is
said.
he?
Well, no,
I
you said he was
I said
43.
yeah
Or are
at
you
the
talking about?
time.
Yeah, that's
At the
old.
time. No, no, it is not.
Not that it's old, but that's old for a wrestler.
No. What's old for a wrestler is basically like in their mid to late 60s. Look at Ric Flair.
60s?
Look at Ric Flair.
Is Ric Flair doing anything though? Like,
Right now, no, he's like in his late 70s.
yeah, that's what I'm
Right now,
saying. You should give it to a youngin,
look at
someone who's
Sting.
like 20, 30.
Look at Sting from WCW. Sting wrestled for WWE and he finally got signed his first ever WWE official contract when he was like 52, 53.
Even Cena's younger than 40, right?
Oh, I know. And from what I'm led to believe, speaking of Cena, he stated that he is still not done yet with WWE. He still has a lot to do.
Why didn't
Which,
he?
in my,
Why didn't he give it to Cena?
I don't know. That's
The,
also another thing because he did. I mean, this is years later.
he's so.
After the streak ended, he did face Cena for the first time at a Mania,
Did they
which
put
was
him
a
over? Or,
complete. Yeah, no. Cena put Taker over, but it was still a cluster. Excuse the language on this show. Excuse the language, but it's like a clusterfuck because that match was like one of the worst Undertaker WrestleMania matches ever. It was only a short match anyway. It was like maybe minute and a half to 2.5 minutes. After entrances, I'm talking about from bell to bell, it was like maybe 2.5 minutes.
what about Jeff Hardy? What happened? What
Okay,
happened to
here's
him?
here's what I am able to grasp on what happened to Jeff Hardy recently. And it's not a drug issue. He is still sober. But what it was, he got basically frustrated over something. Don't ask me what, I don't know. But he got frustrated over something creative wise, and he took it upon himself to pull a CM Punk and just take his ball and go home without telling anybody. He pulled a CM Punk.
What happened? Apparently, he drank on stage or something, and it was like a really fast match. Did you hear about
Well,
that a
that I
while
did
ago?
not hear about. That
Or he was
while ago.
intoxicated a while ago?
Are you talking about 2011?
Probably, yeah, probably.
Victor TNA's Victory Road 2011 did not drink. He took drugs because the story goes from Sting himself, from Steve Borden, Sting himself. The story goes as follows: the wrestlers are supposed to show up to the arena. If a show starts at 8 o'clock, figure the wrestlers are supposed to be at the arena for showtime, like 4 o'clock. Plenty of time so that they can go over finishes, they can go over any last minute details they want to change, anything. 4 o'clock, 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, they have to be at the arena by for an 8 o'clock start. This is what happened. Supposedly, according to Sting, Jeff Hardy got there at the arena around 2 o'clock and was nowhere to be found. Nowhere. Not in any of the locker rooms, not in any of the bathrooms, nowhere to be found, as if he wasn't even there. It wasn't until right before his entrance, and this is also according to Eric Bischoff from his podcast. It wasn't until right before his entrance, Sting goes out first, and then what I'm going to explain is all shoot. And what that's wrestling terminology, means that it's real. It's off the cuff. It's off the script. It's all legit. What I'm going to tell you.
Mm.
Sting goes out for his entrance, right? Jeff is supposed to go out next. He does. And you can clearly see the look on his face. He's intoxicated. He's drugged. He is high as a kite. And I'm not talking marijuana or pot. I'm talking about something harder, like coke or something. Like he's actually flying. You could tell that from the look on his face. He's not as enthusiastic as the Jeff Hardy would be during his entrance with the, oh my God, like body bopping entrance that you're known for Jeff Hardy. He goes out. Eric Bischoff, not supposed to come out at all. He's not supposed to come out. But what does he do? He comes out. He breaks the script of the story. And he comes out. And now he's got to think on the spot because he wants to try and make it look as planned as possible for something that wasn't. He's trying to make it stay in character, in show. So now he's thinking on the spot of what to say on the microphone. So in a nutshell, he basically went over, when he wasn't on the microphone, he basically went over to Sting and told him, pin him for real. Hold him down if you have to, but pin him to 3. Do 3 or 4 moves, but pin him to 3. I don't care if he's fighting out of it, pin him to 3. So Sting does the job. Match starts. The bell sounds. Match starts. Sting goes out of the gate. Boom, boom, boom. 1 or 2 moves, 3 moves. Scorpion death drop, and then he pins him. And you could see Jeff's trying to fight out of it. I mean, he's not like struggling like a criminal or whatever, but he's trying to fight out of it. And Sting is still holding him down. 1, 2, 3, match ends. So the match only lasted 1 minute and 5 seconds tops.
What?
And Sting went out on record and stated he hated that match with a bloody fucking passion. He hated it because Jeff fucked him over by being high. It wasn't until 2 years later that Jeff saw it back and was like, yeah, I agree with Sting. I'm not angry at Sting. I'm not angry at Eric Bischoff. I'm not angry at Dixie Carter, who's the owner and president of TNA at the time. I'm not angry at anybody. I understand why they felt the way they felt, and I'm ashamed of who I used to be back then.
So he was so incapable or non-capable of doing anything?
No,
So they
not
told
at all.
him, or did they just say, "Oh, just take him out because we could tell he's not there"?
That's exactly what happened.
Oh, so was he capable of
Bishop,
doing moves though?
no. If you look, Jeff didn't even care. He didn't even want to be there. Jeff didn't even care. He's known for having like a shirt in his back pocket that he would toss into the crowd for like free merchandise during his entrance. He had one of his like 2 or 3 shirts like tied up like almost like a tie-dye shirt, whatever. He had those shirts. He kept toying with the crowd for almost 30 to 45 seconds when the match started. He was like, should I toss it? Like, he wasn't saying anything, but like the movements that he was saying was like basically, should I toss it over here? No. What about over here? No. It took him like 45 seconds to finally throw it into the crowd, and then Sting would jump on the attack and finish the match.
So that's what he actually did. He was like,
Yeah.
pretending to throw a shirt.
Yeah. And then he finally did, and that's when Sting started to attack him, like playfully, professionally, wrestling-wise, attack him. But he had to do the job because Eric told him during Eric's promo. Remember, during Eric's promo, he put the mic down. You don't hear what he's saying, but you can kind of get the idea of what he's telling him. It may not be the exact words, but he was basically telling him, Steve, put Jeff down immediately. Put him down at all costs. I don't care what the cost is. If you have to literally slam him to the mat, whatever you have to do, get him down for the 3 count immediately and end the match. We have to get him out of here. We have to get him off TV.
Yeah, you don't want him. You don't want to mess up. You don't want him to mess up.
So that's what Sting did. That's what Sting did. He did what he was told by Eric Bischoff.
One wrong move, and that's it.
But what I would have done in that moment, and Eric Bischoff has went out on record and said that he didn't have the authority to do this, which is complete bullshit. If you're looking out for the safety of your stars, I would go beyond my job title, my job description, and my job responsibilities. If I saw a guy high as a kite about to go out, I would literally stop him. Even if I have to call security, I would stop him right before he went out on TV. And I understand this match was hyped up at being the great match, like Sting versus Jeff Hardy for the first time. I understand that you had a lot to put down on promo wise and to pull off. But at the same time, in my looking back at this, I would have honestly have stopped him from going out there at all. I would have told Sting, listen, we're going to cut your match. Jeff's high or something. He's fucked up something. I'm going to cut your match. You're no longer working tonight. Or plan B it. Create a second match and give Sting a second match. Because there's always guys in the back. Even if they're not working that show, there's always guys in the back that you could always put them up against as a replacement for Jeff.
Just have like 3 guys go in there and jump him.
No, not even that. I'm just saying, like, literally, like, they could have pulled Jeff from the match and replaced him with anybody else.
Have like Jeff's partner or something go in there.
Well, Jeff didn't
Try
have
to
anybody
beat
at
him
the
up.
time.
Oh no,
Matt Hardy was not working for the company at that point.
Oh no.
He didn't join TNA, I think. I could be wrong, until like 2012, 2013.
Did he have a manager? Nobody?
No,
That'll
nobody.
fight?
He was by himself.
So he was a
Jeff Hardy
solo act.
Yeah. This was back when he was a solo act.
Shoot. No
But
friends in the company that would have backed him or anything?
not one whatsoever.
Wow. See, a lot of times they have like they'll just send someone in, or they'll send 4 people in. They'll just send all their friends to come and back them up.
Oh, I know.
You
But
saw?
no, not with Jeff.
Oh no, shoot. You saw the ECW comeback,
What are you talking about?
the 2005 comeback. I think it was
Oh,
ECW.
yeah. You're talking about the 2005 ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That one was the creation of Rob Van Dam. Mr. Monday Night, Mr. Tuesday Night, Mr. whatever you want to call him night. Rob Van Dam.
Mm.
Rob Van Dam brought it up to, I think, Paul Heyman. And Paul Heyman brought it up to Vince McMahon. And Paul, being the gentleman that he is, basically gave 100% credit to Rob and said, Vince, Rob's got this idea with me. He wants to bring back, even if it's just for a one show, because that's what it was. WWE's ECW TV show was never supposed to originally be an idea at first, because what it was it was supposed to be a one night, literally a one night stand, a one night event. That's what it was planned to be in 2005, was a one last time to saying thank you to the ECW hardcore fans.
And they all felt, you could feel that that's what they thought. All the wrestlers, they all felt like that was it.
Yeah, because Joey Styles, who you may not know, Joey Styles was and forevermore will be the sole commentator, the only commentator for ECW back in the mid 90s. He was the voice of an era. He was the voice of an extreme era for ECW. And when Joey Styles went out there to open the show and welcome the fans in, he was almost in tears because at the time he thought this was the only time he would ever be dressed for an ECW event. So going into it, he thought it was the only time he would ever be there. He did not know, no one knew that they were going to plan a second one night stand event a year later.
Yeah, that's sick. Right now I'm just working on the video.
But yeah, that was the one night stand event. It was Rob Van Dam's idea, and he was mad. And it's not that he was mad at Vince or Paul or anybody on the inner workings. He was mad because literally, like, what was it, like 3 or 4 weeks prior to the event happening, he worked a match and got injured. So he could not physically work a match at that year's one night stand. And that was his creation. He wanted to wrestle a match at One Night Stand 2005. But he was upset at himself because he got himself injured by accident. And was sidelined. He was on the show, but only for like a promo. He could not physically perform. So that really upset him. It
Mm,
wasn't until a year later when they decided to do a second one that he got his shot at performing on the show.
dang. I heard a lot of people, a lot of the wrestlers were out of work after that too.
Yeah,
They kind of were
Tommy.
like,
Yeah,
this is it.
Yeah, like Tommy Dreamer, Just Incredible. Who else? The Blue
Just
Meanie.
incredible. Yeah, the Blue Meanie. I saw him.
And don't even get me started with that guy. I don't know him personally, so I don't have anything personally bad to say. But from stories I heard, he's like a smartass. Like he's not a nice guy to hang out with. Again, I personally don't know Blue Meanie. This is only rumors and stories I've read. But
Mm,
at I think it was the 2005. Was it 2005? Yeah, I think it was the 2005 one night. No, 2006 one night stand event. They had no. I'm sorry. It was the 2005 one night stand event. They had Raw and SmackDown show up to the show mid show. Like this was planned. Like this was part of the story.
yeah,
What wasn't part of the story is what I'm going to tell you next. Paul Heyman, again, part of the story, invited SmackDown and Raw to show up into the ring because it was an ECW territory. Show up to the ring, make your presence known, like a feud. So they show up to the ring at the end of the show after the last match. They created a brawl. They started brawling. Planned. Planned.
mm,
What wasn't planned was Blue Meanie actually punching JBL in the face and breaking his nose.
I heard about this. Something about an actual fight went down during that
And
big brawl.
that wasn't planned. That one small spot was not planned because if you look closely, you may I mean the cameras changed angles, so you may not have seen the actual punch, but you saw the result. If you look in the background at JBL, you see his face all bloodied,
Mm.
and that's all because Blue Meanie punched him right in the face.
Was it like real hate or was it just
No, it was
ECW trying to be like
no.
badass? You know what I mean? I feel like if we're
50
gonna,
50.
cause me, if we're gonna go all out and we want this company to look good and we're already all bloody, you may as well just go all out.
50 50.
You you may as well just start clapping.
50 50. Like I said, the entire brawl was planned, was staged.
Mm.
The only legit part that was not called in the back prior to the show was Blue Meanie taking it upon himself and going into business for himself and punching JBL right in the face.
Was the blood real?
Yeah, in wrestling, blood is real.
2005, 2006, they were allowed to.
Technically, yes, because it's ECW. ECW is known for being extreme.
Mm. It is extreme. I mean, so how were they able to? Do you know?
Basic, What do you mean?
How were they able to bleed? Because usually with these commissioners, with the boxing
You want me?
commissioners,
You want me to give you the inner workings of how wrestlers make each other bleed?
well, yeah, because the boxing commissioners, as soon as they see blood, they're like, oh, that's it,
Nowadays, yeah.
that's
Nowadays,
it.
yeah. But then again, you have to also understand WWE is a multi-million-dollar company. They can pay off any fines that come their way.
Yeah, in '05, I'm sure they could,
Literally, Vince McMahon could pay off the fine in 2 seconds. Write a check, boom, done. Let us do whatever we want at that point. Fine us $5,000, $20,000, 80,000 does not matter. Fine us, whatever it is. You tell me before the show. I'll write you the check, and you don't even have to find me afterwards because I paid it off already.
But I feel like some of it was like excessive blood.
Not for what it was. It's
Mm.
again ECW was balls to the wall, hardcore. It's nothing like death matches like what Nick Gage is known for in Game Changer Wrestling. It's not death match. It's hardcore. There's a limit to it, but there is still blood.
Now, being that I feel like that was one of the more impressive matchups, and like we all want to see blood and everything. Why didn't ECW make it through everything? If they were so like, badass, hardcore.
Because WWE was the number one game in town, and they made their selves known to the wrestling community. They made themselves aware that they were the sole company, that they were the monopoly, just like how Amazon's doing nowadays. Uh, it was just an epic thing. WCW was competing with them. ECW was not competing, but competing, meaning ECW didn't have a television show weekly, but
Mm.
they were still competing with local fans, trying to get them to their shows.
I feel like
And
they
for
they should
and
all be
for
able to go.
well, you would think at one point, again, rumor, story, don't know how true until I research it more. Um, there's a story going around that at one point WCW World Championship Wrestling at one point were giving away free tickets to their shows because of how desperate they were to filling seats.
Damn, yeah, they. Hey, I mean, you buy a popcorn, you buy a beer. I don't know what else.
Literally,
I don't know what they
they were
sell,
giving
but
they were giving away literally 100% free tickets.
ten
Like
dollars a beer.
not every ticket was free. Like you had to still pay, but like some tickets on the floors could have been free tickets because they were so desperate to filling the seats on camera.
Yeah, I know a lot of places they'll do that. If there's like nobody there, they'll just be like, "All right, here's a upgraded ticket, completely free of charge."
Exactly, because the company was so afraid of losing the ratings war that they were like, Vince is beating us. What can we do? Fill up seats.
Hmm. Yeah, you gotta fill in seats, sell popcorn, friggin' cotton candy. So just work on sales at that point.
True. And then much beyond that, at one point, I would love to see an alternate reality where this actually happened. At one point, D Generation X, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, and China. They this actually happened to an extent. I'm going to give you the full backstory. It was an episode of Monday Night Raw, and this was all shoot. This was all real. This was all legit because part of it was scripted. Part
Hmm.
the parts that were scripted was basically being on a jeep, like a military jeep, and driving to the other side of town, literally same town, just the other side of town, to where WCW is filming their show. And Triple H, no, not Triple H, it was Road Dogg's idea that I know of. He wanted Triple H to drive the Jeep all the way to the Norfolk Arena where WCW is holding their show. And they wanted to show up on WCW. They wanted to show WWF stars showing up on the enemy's territory, like a big FU to them. What I would love to have seen, because they did do that. They didn't show up to the physical shooting, the physical like filming. They showed up to the outside of the arena and they started closing the gate, the garage gate. So they never got to be on the show.
Ooh.
What I would love to have seen in an alternate reality is what would have happened had they gone into the arena. What would have happened had they gone onto an episode of Nitro?
Should have. What I want to see though, do you think that someone is in charge of keeping track of every single wrestling match and then lining up the storylines to the
Vince.
what's the word, like to the mark?
Vince McMahon. Anything. There are several people under him, but Vince McMahon is the one that gets the final say so, the final green light. You pitch the idea as a team.
Oh no, I mean like does what he's doing
Yes,
now correlate to what they were doing in the 90s? Like does the storyline still line up completely? Like I know some like does he put the ECW storyline within his storyline as well
yes,
and other
yes,
storylines as well?
yes, yes. Because what he ended up doing, which failed horribly, let me answer that question. What he ended up doing in 2002, 2003 was that he purchased, and this is all legit, he purchased WCW. their video library, and some of their contracts to the stars.
Hmm.
So when you're asking, do their stories correlate with his? Yes. In this sense, yes. It went down horribly. It was like one of the worst storylines ever created. It could have been brought on a lot better, could have been put together a lot better. But this is what I'm trying to get to is they had a pay-per-view surrounding WCW's storylines combining with ECW, combining with WWF at the time, World Wrestling Federation. And what it was called WWF Presents Invasion. It was ECW and WCW teaming up, and they were known as the Alliance against Team WWF. It was like a Survivor Series kind of a show, similar.
Hmm.
And what it was, at the end of the night, it was supposed to be the original concept was supposed to be WCW goes over with ECW. They go over winning the match. And Vince was going to cancel SmackDown and replace it with WCW Nitro.
Really?
So you would have had Monday Night Raw and WCW Nitro. And he was going to run it almost identically to the way they ran it originally. It wouldn't have been like WWE Nitro. It would have been like still the same format, the same running, the same sets, the same everything, like the same design, everything the same. It's just he would have gotten paid for it because it was under his umbrella, under his company.
Hmm.
But physically, it would have looked almost identical to how they left it.
So what happened to Raw and SmackDown?
Well, nothing.
Why are they no longer? Are they no longer doing Raw and SmackDown?
No, they are. They are. They
Oh, they
still
are.
are.
Same days, everything.
Same. Same
What?
everything.
Really?
Monday and Friday.
The only thing we lost, did we lose Nitro?
Well, yeah, Nitro only last. Here's the thing. Nitro had a one match thing. It was on and it was on the end of an episode of Raw. They had Buff Bagwell go out against Booker T. And let's just say the match sucked
Oh, the match sucked.
horribly. Horribly. It wasn't even I don't even blame the wrestlers. I just blame production because they could have went so much better. Vince could have explained it a lot better to Buff Bagwell on where the hard cam was, where the motion cams were. He could have explained it so much better so that he knew how to work around WWE's cameras.
Hmm.
But he just shit the bed because of Vince not telling him how to work around their production. So
Shoot.
to end it, yeah. I mean, Booker T ended up winning, but that's another story. It's just the fact that he didn't tell them how to work in a WWE environment, and that's what completely screwed the entire pooch.
Did you like Booker T's getup?
Yes,
What do you like about it?
well, it's generic. He just wore black trunks and black gloves, and that's it.
Okay. What about it? Doesn't he pull off an accent? Something like that?
No, no, no. You're talking about Kofi Kingston.
No, no, Booker T.
I guess he does have like a southern accent, like a Texan because he is from Texas. Because we say Booker T, the way he says it is Booker King Booker.
The way he talks.
He says it with an A instead of an instead of Booker T. He says my name's Booker T.
Mm.
But again, it's not an accent really. It's just what he grew up with. He was a Texan. He grew up in Houston.
Does he still do his thing? Does he still wrestle?
On occasions, I mean, he owns his own wrestling company now, his own independent wrestling company, Reality of Wrestling,
Mm.
ROW, Reality of Wrestling. So, and last I checked, he has a wrestling school out in Houston. But yeah, that's Booker T doing his thing now, and then on the side, he also does what we're doing right now, podcasting.
Okay. Also, you mentioned something about Tommy Dreamer back in the day. Did you go to his wrestling school?
Not his school, but I went to one or two of his shows that he held at the St. James Sports Arena.
Oh, okay. Did you know where his school was? It was pretty
Yeah,
close, right?
his school at the time when he did have a wrestling school, and he doesn't have one now. When he did, it was out in Poughkeepsie, New York, which is like a little bit upstate, little New York City ish.
Okay. You want to talk about Tony Nese?
Yes. So here's the thing: Tony Nese, former WWE star, former WWE Cruiserweight champion, Tony Nese was my trainer before he made it big to WWE, or moderately big to WWE. And the reason why I say moderately to you, Tony, is not out of disrespect. It's basically because that's what you were, moderate. Like the cruiserweights, they were planned on being the big stars of the company, but they weren't focused on 100%. You guys were given like the side, like when there was nothing left to do, bring on the cruiserweights. So it's not on you, it's not on any of the other talent, because you were a megastar in NYWC. You were a megastar. I remember working one or two of your matches as a referee, and you were phenomenal. Always, always professional. Always, always there to lend a helping hand and critique any way you can to help out the younger generation, the new people coming in. You're always there to help. And I have tremendous respect for Tony Nese.
Hmm.
But that's what he was, moderate star in WWE. But to make a long story short, and this is a little personal, I don't want to get a little, I don't want to get too personal, but I'm going to give a little personal. Um, Basically, and I understand completely when you're a WWE star, they tell you to an extent who and who you can't talk to, because they don't want somebody to ask you, "Hey, what's your story for the week?" And do you know if they're going to win their match? Do you know if that person's going to win their match? WWE wants to keep everything hush hush. They want to keep it amongst themselves till you see it on TV. But I was asking at times, like, "Hi, Tony," on Facebook, like, "Hi, Tony, how are you doing?" Just like quick, "Hi, how are you?" And he never answered me
Hmm.
ever. He would see it, but he would ghost me.
Did he used to
Never
text you
answer.
like that?
No, I never. I only talked to him when I was at the wrestling shows.
Oh, okay. I figured that he probably texted you back and forth once or
No,
twice, maybe.
we were never really close because of age difference. He's like what, like 10 to 12 years older than me,
Hmm.
maybe 13 years older than me, something like that.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a huge age gap. But still, I have a lot of respect, even still, to Tony Nese. And last I checked, he's working with AEW, All Elite Wrestling.
Good, good. I'm hearing they're doing pretty good too.
Oh yeah, and what I'm led to believe, this is a little news flash.
Ooh.
Cody Rhodes, the VP or one of the EVPs, executive vice presidents of All Elite Wrestling, he's supposedly working as a free agent right now, and that was brought up because of the WWE Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah.
So there are rumor mills happening, which I doubt it's true. I doubt it's true. I doubt it. But there's rumor mills saying that Cody could be showing up as a surprise entrant in the Royal Rumble.
Ooh. Okay.
My question is this: why in the hell would he do that when he's trying to run his own company?
Why not?
Because I mean, it doesn't even look right. It wouldn't even fit right. Like, why would you be going to another company, even if you have respect, even if it's not an enemy territory, even if it's just like another company? Why would
Hmm.
you be doing that when you're trying to make your company successful?
Just more publicity.
I guess you could be right.
More more eyes on you. Let's show up to everybody's. Let's break into everybody's.
I guess you could be right. I guess you could.
And then have them beat you up or have you beat them down or something for one
But now,
match.
speaking of the Royal Rumble, let's talk about one of the participants.
Mm.
You know him. Movies, Jackass's star, Johnny Knoxville.
Yes, yes.
He introduced himself into the Royal Rumble this year. He's going to be in it.
He's coming back.
He's coming
Back into
back, yeah.
wrestling. Nice, nice.
Not to get anyone confused. He was never a real wrestler.
Well, he wrestled in the one though.
No, he never did.
What didn't he get his? Wasn't he said? Wasn't he said
He
to
was
take the
he was on
beating?
he was on backstage segments like little skits in the back when they were promoting like
What?
Jackass movies.
No, he was on the. He was in the ring.
Oh, recently you're talking about.
I don't think so. I think he was old. He was getting beat down by.
No, no, no. You're thinking Steve-O and Chris Pontius.
Oh yeah, I'm thinking Steve-O. Wait,
No,
so who's coming on? Johnny
Johnny
Knoxville?
Knoxville, the face of Jackass, the face.
Oh, you got me. I thought you were talking about Steve-O.
No, 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 no. Jackass is Johnny Knoxville, the lead, the face,
Hmm.
the one that comes to mind when you say Jackass, because he opens up every movie. Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is Jackass.
Shoot, you know what it is? I thought wrestling, and then I thought Jackass, and then I
Yeah,
thought Steve-O.
and
Right,
Umaga and
right off
Chris
the bat.
Pontius.
Yep. I thought it right off the bat. I was like, not even thinking.
No, but Johnny Knoxville is going to be in this year's Royal Rumble.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on a Jackass stunt person being in a Royal Rumble?
I just want to see Steve-O.
That'll never happen.
No, he won't come back.
Nope, he had a concussion after that encounter.
Yeah, you're right. He did get it. That dude beat him up.
Because he even went on his own podcast and reviewed it and said the moment that he blacked out
Hmm.
was because Umaga elbowed him right in the side of the head temple.
He told him stay down.
No, literally, Umaga literally went right up to him as he was beating him and told him, "Stay down, stay down." Because in wrestling, it's all a show. I'm gonna break kayfabe. It's all a work. It's all predetermined. The moves are real. The weapons, with to an extent, are real.
Hmm.
But there's a story behind everything. You want the story to be real to the fans. In order for it to be real, you have to be an actor. Steve-O was not an actor. He thought of it as a joke, as you probably would, as many others probably would. He thought of it as a joke, not real. He knew that it wasn't real, so he took it as a joke, which you do not want to do to a wrestler while they're on TV. If
Especially
it's
not freaking Umaga.
Well, here's the thing: Umaga probably would have laughed it off if it was like a live event, not televised. But the moment you bring cameras into it, Umaga becomes more of a professional and takes everything seriously, as any wrestler would in WWE. Take it more seriously when you're on camera.
Hmm.
When you're at a non-televised live event, shit goes out the window. You can have as much fun as you want as long as you're safe.
Yeah, he kind of knew he did something wrong
Yeah, because
afterwards.
you could see clearly on video him pointing and laughing, meaning, "Hey, this is fake." No, and that's the word I hate when it comes to wrestling. Fake, the dreaded F word. And many wrestlers will say, "Yeah, it's fake. Yeah, it's fake." Brock Lesnar once said, "Yeah, it's fake." I hate the F word because to me, fake means you don't feel anything.
You
Fake means
feel
you're
it.
fake means that you're landing on a crash pad, that it's protecting your fall, you're not feeling any pain. That's what fake means to me. You could say yes, it's staged. You
Oh,
could say yes, it's predetermined.
it ain't fake. Japanese wrestlers be dying.
Yeah,
You know the
exactly.
Japanese wrestling scene. They
Yes,
died.
yes,
They die
yes.
early from
I
head
know.
concussions and stuff.
I mean, look at what happened with. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of flack for this. Look what happened with Chris Benoit back in 2007. He killed himself and his family because of the many years of concussions.
Hmm.
Chris Nowinski took his brain and had it autopsied, and it was revealed he had a brain compared to an 80-year-old with dementia of 7 years, which I don't get, which I don't believe whatsoever. Because if you have dementia and that severe of dementia, how are you going to remember a full 20-minute match, or for that matter, a full 15-minute match?
Oh,
How are you going to,
how is he gonna put it together?
yeah, like how are you going to remember everything that you guys go over?
I wouldn't know. The brain works in odd ways.
But just the fact that they claimed he had a brain of an 80-year-old dementia patient makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Mm.
Prove that to me whatsoever. Put an 80-year-old in that scenario of a wrestler, not in the ring, but just forming a match. And I guarantee you he won't be able to.
It's gonna look
Be-
different.
it'll even sound different because he'll be told what to do, and then 3 or 4 minutes later, he'll ask, wait, what do you want me to do again? And then again, 3 or 4 minutes later, what do you want me to do again? That's a dementia patient. I might be over exaggerating it, but that's basically in a nutshell what a dementia patient would do. So to say Chris Benoit had a brain in the end of an 80-year-old dementia patient makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever.
Mm.
To say, hey, he had a concussion like a
Okay.
football player and that he went nutso, okay, I can believe that. But to say he had a brain of an 80-year-old dementia patient makes
Maybe
no sense to me.
maybe they mean it at the point of concussion.
Yeah, but still,
So
he still was able to perform matches and still, much beyond that, create matches in the back, like just forming them with his opponents, talking back and forth on what they're gonna do in the ring.
hmm,
No dementia patient that I know of could do that accurately, and then not only that, but perform it as done accurately.
it's crazy. But
I think you're
that's just on the point of the damage is real. People can get hurt in the sport,
true,
and
true.
it's as real as it gets.
Ain't that the truth? Um, what other topic? Then you also have guys like Eddie Guerrero, God rest his soul. He was one of the greatest wrestlers of my generation and one of the greatest wrestlers ever. He was a former drug addict
Mm.
and alcoholic in his previous years. I'm going to say about the late 80s all the way through to 2002, 2003. He was an alcoholic and drug addict because he relied on painkillers and other narcotics. And that's what he was known for. Sadly, it wasn't until like 2001, 2002 when JR Jim Ross, who at the time was working for WWE's creative department of hiring and firing of the local talent, he brought it right up to Eddie and was like, he was like, Eddie, listen, I'm your friend. And he talked to him like a friend too. He wasn't talking to him like a boss or like a colleague or anything. He was talking to him like a friend. And he was basically saying, Eddie, you need help. WWE is willing to pay for your rehab. For no matter how long it takes, they will pay for your rehab to get you clean and better. And he almost lost his family, not death wise, but divorce wise and separation wise. Because Vicky Guerrero at one point was going to leave him, and she actually did for a long time. But they didn't divorce; they just separated. But to make a long story short, Jim Ross said, "We'll get you help. We'll pay for it. The company will pay for it. We don't care how much it is. We will pay for you to get clean. That's how much we love you, Eddie." Eddie took it, got clean, got his family back, and lived his life all the way up until 2005 when he died of a heart attack.
Mm.
That's what freaks me out. Is that he was sober up until he died. He was sober for like 5 years, like 4 or 5 years, and he just drops.
And he did well too with his sobriety.
Oh, I know. Because after he was released from WWE, before he went into rehab or mid rehab or post rehab something, he worked a couple of independent wrestling shows, which you can see one of his independent wrestling show matches online. It's Eddie Guerrero versus an unmasked Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk at a local indie show. I don't know what it was called,
Mm.
but you can look it up online. Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk. The match was subpar. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It was entertaining. It wasn't until after that, short time after that, maybe a year and a half, Eddie Guerrero finally came back to WWE and made a name for himself. He became WWE champion and started to finally make a name for himself. And that's when he became the megastar of the world. Everybody, whether you were a wrestling fan or you weren't, knew the name Eddie Guerrero. And I don't know where I'm going on this spiel, but he was just that great of a wrestler, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Hmm. On another topic, what do you think as far as the metal objects in wrestling?
Go on.
What do you think about them?
What do you mean metal objects like steel
Steel
chairs?
chairs, ladders, metal
Go on,
pans. Do
go
you
on with your questioning. Like, what's your actual question?
do you think it's just a standard like pan right out the cupboard?
Ah, to answer your question, yes, it is.
It is because those things bend quick.
Unless you're talking about the Mark Henry incident on an episode of ECW where he bent and literally bended like a circle, bended it
Oh,
the
oh, you're
frying
talking about a
pan.
frying pan? No, 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 not the frying pan. I know you could do that.
Oh, like the
I'm
cookie
talking
sheets?
about the cookie sheet. Yeah,
Yeah,
when
they're
they
all
just
real.
when they pop them over the head and then it's got like the
What it
head
is,
imprint.
they get, I don't know. They go to like local dollar stores and they just get like generic pans. So all it really is just the selling. Like if you're using a cookie sheet, all it really is just the selling of the guy. It's all acting. You smash him in the head for real, but it's not gonna hurt. Depending on what it is. If it's a flat cookie sheet, it might hurt, but it's not gonna damage you. It's not gonna hurt you for real.
So they'll use like a cheaper, like thinner
Well, what I'm talking
material.
about, it's like a turkey pan, something that's got depth in it.
Mm.
They would use something like that.
Because the steel pan, the steel cookie
The
sheets I
flat,
got,
yeah, the
those things,
flat
if I
cookie
get hit
sheets.
with it, it would probably stay completely flat. I feel like, or it'll
I
hurt a
mean, I
lot.
mean, I mean, they do gimmick it a little bit. Like, don't
Mm.
get me wrong, they do gimmick it a little bit. I
And the,
haven't really dealt with it myself and seeing it in person, but they
and
do
the,
gimmick it.
what about the chairs though? You ever see them whack it and then the chair is freaking like
Cave
all
in.
bent out of shape, and I'm like, I've never seen,
Yeah,
I've never seen that before.
real. Those are real chairs.
Mm.
But again, when they want it to look more painful than it really is, and they want to see it more warped, they literally work the chair out to getting it warped.
How do they work it out?
That I don't know the exact inner workings of how they
Oh,
get it
okay.
done.
So they do something to it. It's something.
Exactly. It's
Cause,
always something.
'cause I'm like, if I get hit with a solid metal chair, that metal
Like I
chair, I'm getting hurt. That metal chair would
like
be fine.
like if you want to ask like about how tables get broken, I can tell you that.
Mm. Cause it's
At
like,
least from my working with them. And what it is that you saw the table in half, or no. It's a real folding table. It's a legit real folding table. But you know how in the middle with a folding table, there's like a little middle bridge going right down the middle of it,
yeah,
where it's like cut in half, and then you can close it in half.
yeah.
What it is that they remove screws from that. They keep the bar there, but they remove the screws. And what it is that they lay their opponent on it, and then when they go through it, the screws aren't there to support it, so it'll just collapse on impact.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
That's one way of doing it. That's
Then
only one way.
when it collapses, it cracks,
Yeah.
and then busts in
Then there's an,
half.
then there's the WWE's way. Back in the day, I don't know what they do now, but back in the day, let's say CM Punk's infamous pipe bomb promo when he cut that when it was John Cena versus I think R Truth that night. I can tell you how they prepped that table, and this
Oh,
is not like someone told me. This is basically my own like research.
mm.
So I can be wrong. So please correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments.
Hmm.
But from what I'm led to believe, it's basically that they pre-saw the table in half, and then they what is it? They pre-saw the table in half, and then they put it back together with like hot glue or something because the way they had it staged
Like hot
was that it
glue and
was,
sawdust? Glue and
well,
sawdust?
yeah, hot, either that or like very lightly gorilla glue the table back together
Hmm.
so that it snaps on impact, because the way they staged it was that it was leaning against a corner and Cena got speared right through it. So to do it that way, you would have to cut it in half because you're not putting the person on it. If you cut it in half and then put it back together and put the person on it, it's going to collapse in the middle before you can even perform a move because of how much people weigh.
Yeah. So they have to reinforce it.
Yeah, normally. But because of this exact finish of the match was that he was being speared through it and his back was breaking the table, they prepped the table by cutting it in half and then putting it back together with like hot glue or something, like something, maybe even hinges, like something that will snap on impact when you're being speared at what feels like 100 miles an hour.
But only with that type of pressure though.
Yeah,
That type of
yeah,
force. It'll break.
yeah. Like you throw me into it, not going to break. But you spear me into it,
It's gonna
it will
break.
break. Yeah, because you understand WWE is dealing with like I think a 20 by 20 ring, which is a lot larger than your traditional indie shows, which uses varies between 16 to 16 and 18 and 18. So you have more distance to start a running force for a spear, so it's more impactful. And that's just what I'm trying to get at is that WWE uses a 20 by 20 ring. So you would think on one end, you got plenty of speed coming at you to break that table with a spear. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining us on this long episode of All Wrestling Madness's podcast with, again, your host, Barry Wolf, and my co host, Shawn.
Yep.
Thank you for joining me, Shawn.
You got it. Thank you.
And please subscribe, share, and deliver this great show to everyone that you can on social media, on any and all social media platform. Subscribe and click that bell notification icon next to the subscribe button so you can get notified whenever we drop another video. Thank you, good night, and talk to you all in the next one.